So, yeah, nobody meet Jim.
So
Move on then.
Mr. Putnam is kind of zooming in, and we're not quite set up for that, so maybe we could go on to somebody
Well,
else.
let's go with Greta.
Okay,
Come on up.
so Melissa can speak to this as much as I can, but I'm here to review the contract for zoning bylaw project between the town of Fairfield and the Northwest Regional Planning Commission. In the back of the contract, you'll see the scope of work that has been reviewed by the Planning Commission at actually 2 meetings. It's for the same amount it's the same scope of work and for the same amount that was applied to the municipal planning grant program and was not funded. Just to reiterate, there was a ton of really great projects that were not funded, simply not enough funding to go around. And so, it was just a very competitive year, and it's sort of the nature of planning projects in that program. Lately, which on the one hand is good, there's lots of great planning work happening, but there's just not enough money to fund those projects. So it wasn't that this project wasn't eligible or it didn't, it scored well. Just didn't quite make the cut. I think there were just only 4 projects funded in the region. So this project looks at, so in response to, I guess, an article at town meeting where the town is interested in exploring whether there's a conflict between the municipal plan and the zoning bylaws. So with that in mind, the project starts off with an audit pulling out municipal plan goals relative to development in the rural areas of the town. So this project is looking at focusing on primarily the agricultural district, but in general, rural areas of the town, not the village center. The last bylaw update in 2021, it was adopted at 2021, focused a lot on village district. And so this project is going to take the approach of let's focus on development standards in the rural area, specifically the agricultural district. So we'll pull out municipal plan rules and policies related to that. We'll pull out bylaw standards that are implementing those goals, and we'll consider with the Planning Commission and any public input how well those standards are doing. And that will lead into a discussion around later on in the project around whether the Planning Commission would like to consider other ways of regulating development. And so that the project will include NRPC staff doing research on different ways of regulating development in those rural districts, depending on how the conversation goes and the goals of the Planning Commission. Also incorporated in the scope of work is a mapping analysis. So I think that considering the existing zoning district boundaries along with any although the underlying resources there will help in confirming whether those boundaries are good the way they're drawn or whether there's a desire to adjust them at all. It will also help in consideration of the district purpose statement to confirm that the resources that exist in that district are, match what the goals of that district, why it was created and what it's intending to do in terms of development regulation. There's one community meeting incorporated into the scope, but that's on top of, I think, around 10 open planning commission meetings, which would be open to the public, and public comment is encouraged at those meetings as well. And we'll also just put together a basic landing website for documents that are created as part of the project to be posted and available to the public. So that is the scope of work. And does anybody have any questions?
I got a couple questions. Yeah. So I think you did a great job. I did attend the presentation to the planning and zoning Friday night. Thank you for lending your computer to make that happen. And staying late because you lent your computer. So just starting from the top, and these are mostly just questions as opposed to like hard, just as I reflected upon, you know, like where we're at and where we're going, and I don't have answers, but I have questions for the board to consider. I thought Vanessa raised an interesting point, and she said, what happens if we exceed the amount of the budget, and we're very specific, $16,224. And there's a lot of reasons, a lot of good reasons we could blow through that number. Now, I know by the contract, that's hard and firm, but I almost thought, I think the contract is very thoughtful in trying to kind of say, you know, act of God, we could, there's some scenarios where we could exceed that amount, and it's also said that we could go below that amount. But I wondered if we could, as a select board, consider setting a lower number and saying, okay, if we get to $14,000, stop. Because there's gonna, I wondered if the board would consider some way to say, all right, how are we doing to get to the finish line? Because I could see this thing.
A few sort of check-ins.
Yeah, so like a budgetary, like a
scope.
scoping, like a scope, like this is a year project, and 6 months into it, okay, maybe we gotta change the scope in order not to like get to the end and we're like halfway done. So I just think that's something we should be thoughtful about. That was the first question, and so we might want to reflect on that. The other, you just mentioned that this is mostly, you said two things. You said this is mostly about the agricultural district, but in fact the contract says non-village areas, so that means everything except for the village. That's the scope. Right?
I think that it will likely be narrowed down to a focus on the agricultural district, but you're right, in the scope, it's broad. And it leaves it open.
Yeah, and even task 2, you're gonna map everything outside of, all the districts, and, so I just think there's a little bit of setting the expectation. This is taking on the entire town, except for the village.
Yes, I think there will be, the mapping will start with the whole town. I think that my understanding is that we would hone in on areas that are, I guess, decided to be more focused than others. Like, for example, I think there might be, like, I'm not sure that there's interest in looking at the conservation district. If there is, then we can.
Okay, well, I'm just trying to get, because I heard two things. The words say outside the village, and you said ag, and I don't know. So that's
my understanding is that it's development outside the village in terms of looking
right,
at
and that's what this contract is.
Yeah.
There is no like specific. It's not about the ag. It's about.
Review the whole thing.
Right. That's what I'm just trying to get that.
Right. You're not gonna. Yes, you're right.
So the first time we did contract 3 years ago, that was the whole town, but basically the villages, right? That was about 16,000 too.
It was the entire regulations, and it was kind of an overhaul of the regulations.
Yeah.
It reorganized them and tweaked, I think, language to bring it up to standard with, I think, in conformance with state statute, and perhaps modernized a little bit. But it did focus on development review standards specifically for the village.
Yeah.
And so that was, like, the public involvement was majorly focused around development
But the
standards
money
in
was
village.
roughly the same amount, wasn't it?
It
Roughly.
might have been a little bit more.
Might have been
I don't
20.
have the, yeah.
What would you like to do? Is there something you'd
Well,
like to see?
I got a couple more,
Yeah.
So, I'm just going through the contract, that was, the money was paragraph B. On paragraph H, the town shall appoint one person as the principal contract for this project. Are we thinking you, Melissa, or is this?
Kathy is the one who manages contracts.
It's not
Okay,
contract,
so-
it's contact, isn't it?
This is the, so is that what?
So my understanding is when a contract is being managed by me, it's my, I'm getting the invoices, I'm the one who executes the contracts.
Okay, so that's helpful, that's a different, so that,
But I'm not the person who is actively engaged in the project.
okay, so the town shall appoint one person as the principal contact for this project. So so this is leading to me, two questions, it leads me to ask two questions. The first question is, as I observe the conscientious professional running of the planning and zoning meeting on a Friday night, I thought to myself, and this subject came up, but I thought, are we gonna burn out these conscientious volunteers by, when I saw these tasks, this is just a question, but I saw these tasks, I saw all the meetings, and that's in addition to their existing workload. And I thought to myself, and it kind of gets back to the money thing, you know, are we gonna, it was just a capacity thing for volunteers. So it was addressed Friday night, and they said, I think there was, we can do this in addition to the work that we're currently doing. There might be some.
We did it a few years ago, and the board was smaller, and we did it. So I think with a board that is larger, we'll be fine.
And I would assume that the communication between the board and the zoning administrator would come to me in order for me to assume or to assess whether or not the project is getting done the way it should be, or if there needs to be a change of something. So
Shouldn't
it'll be an
that all go
ongoing
through the
discussion.
zoning administrator?
And that's what we do with the roads contracts, and that's what we do with other
Yeah, but
contracts.
this should go through the zoning administrator, I would think, unless there's a bill, you shouldn't have to be involved with it.
Well, if I get a bill, that's what I mean, if I get a bill and it says that.
I have no problem for that aspect.
Then it would just be like,
Yeah,
checking
managing
in,
a contract is different than point of contact for the
Right,
town.
exactly.
So they're two
Yeah,
different roles.
right, exactly.
One is, and that's, so now I'm on paragraph C. And the regional commission shall invoice, and it says, and shall submit periodic progress reports describing, which I think are more like how what we've achieved as we go forward.
So we submit quarterly invoices, and with the invoice, we submit a memo that documents what that invoice covered.
Okay.
So the work that was completed during that period.
Okay, so paragraph D, the regional commission staff shall review any work contracted with third parties by the regional commission under this agreement. Do we anticipate third parties being hired to help with this?
No.
Okay, that's helpful. I thought it was more of an internal thing as opposed to hiring, and that was, so we don't really anticipate hiring an expert to come in and do this. Greta, you're kind of our expert, right?
Greta is by far.
Well, I
So
mean,
we
you know,
have-
that, right?
Yes.
Right.
And we do, the lead for this project will be Emily Cloft, who has also worked,
I know Emily, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
for the town.
Okay.
So and then we also have AmeriCorps Vista, who's serving his term at NRPC as a community resilience specialist, who will also be supporting the project.
Okay, I'm comfortable with that. Yeah, I just didn't see like there was someone else that was gonna be hired that worked for Northwest Regional Plan. Okay, so now so I asked about the money, but my primary concern now is my obligation, our obligation as a select board that's elected. And we appoint planning and zoning, and when I look at this, I'd like to ask in a very tactful and respectful way, how all these responsibilities and all this interface is done by Northwest Regional Planning and Planning Commission. And there's no role in this scope of work for any communication with the select board. And what I wanna ask is, how could we best, what I don't wanna have as a select board member and as a select board is at the end of this, on June 5th, when this thing is birthed, June 30th, is for this thing to be dumped at us and say, take it or leave it. And I mean that in a really respectful way.
So I can easily, I mean, I'm here for all of your meetings. I can easily update you where we are and what's been done as we go through the process.
Yeah, see, that's what, I don't wanna be updated, I wanna have a couple times when the select board formally has asked for our input in what you're, in a way that makes sense, given your experience. In a way, have a dialogue so that, I don't wanna just be briefed. I wanna have a dialogue where we could share
You're saying
our,
you wanna participate in the,
I want the select board to have a role in this development, other than being briefed on what with the baby is being formed. I would like to have, I'm just like, I think it
so
would.
your role as a select board person is to approve or deny the contract? Other than that, your role is as a townsperson?
Okay,
And you can
no.
participate in the public forums and in public meetings, but as a select board member, you don't have a role on the Planning and Zoning Commission. Is that the best way to describe it, Greta?
Well, select board members are ex officio members of the planning commission.
See, we're
for
talking
whatever that
all
means.
these
But-
briefings that we're getting
so-
from some people that are opposed to it, we're like being told that we're responsible for what's going on. So, I don't think that's.
I get what you mean.
I think that there's a few different ways to, I think, proactively ensure that the select board is aware of what's going on. On the one hand, I think that you could designate someone on the board to check in or potentially attend planning commission meetings, if not every time, but regularly. That's something that could happen and that would be appropriate if it was deemed necessary. Just as, a select board member attending, participating in the conversation, you're not a voting member of the planning commission by any means, but there is a role designated in statute for select board members it's called ex officio member, so you can participate on the board, but you're not a voting member.
Yeah, see, what I'm really getting at is.
And then if you would like other ideas of where to build in, like key points in the work plan where it might make sense to, and this is up, it's up for discussion, but I think, so there's a community meeting, and at that point in time, I think the idea is that the audit will be done, the mapping analysis will be done, and some research into, if it's identified that there's a desire to regulate development differently, there's gonna be some research into some different ways of doing that. So some opportunities of how things could be done differently in terms of development regulations. And so those options are going to be presented at a public meeting. At this point, I haven't, NRPC hasn't worked with the Planning Commission to put together a, detailed agenda for that meeting yet. There may be some different ways of engaging the community in discussion, but I think the idea is that there will be some research done and discussion done on behalf of the Planning Commission, and that's going to be taken to the community, and there's going to be opportunity to further discuss, receive input, and and also have some specific ideas to look at and consider. So I think potentially before that meeting could be a good time, or to just participate in that meeting. But you could, so there's a few different, that I think is leading up to that meeting, and in terms of how it's going to be designed and the opportunities that the Planning Commission has decided on to present, I think is a milestone in the project. And then having that community meeting is also a milestone.
Can I ask a question? I was wondering if maybe Emily could select out of some of the discussions and some of the elements that you have in your contract, some key engagement questions for the select board. So just as you have the discussions, they'll surface, right? As the things are coming up, you'll see that there are some burning questions that are transpiring in the meetings. Is that something that Emily could?
Who's Emily?
Emily.
Greta.
Greta. Emily Croft, isn't it?
Oh, Emily, instead of Greta, you mean?
Yeah, because you're not
Yeah.
facilitating it, right? It's Emily.
Emily's the lead, I'm overseeing.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think that she would be able to harvest out some key discussion points with this for the select board?
Potentially, it may, I mean, without
One or two times? Or
sort of taking the wind out of the planning commission and saying
Yeah.
like, okay, now this needs to go to the select board, that could create, I think, a dynamic that might be challenging, but.
I just wanted to raise this question. I think I'm comfortable with the answers, I'm comfortable with the dialogue, it's reassuring.
Yeah.
You know, but what I'm statutorily, I think when I see task 6, inform me, but as a matter of stature, NRPC staff will present a revised regulation, the revised regulations to the planning commission in a draft ready for the adoption process. After the planning commission say, doesn't the select board's gonna have to?
The select board is the body that's responsible for adopting the regulations, correct?
See, that's my point. My point is, I don't wanna get to the end and I'd like to have a collaboration as opposed to
Yeah.
a square corner where we're like,
No,
conflict.
I like the milestone, before the public meeting, hey, here's what we've looked at, here's what we're, it doesn't have to be
I agree.
fancy, but just some open communication so we don't get into the corner.
Yeah, that's right, just collaboration, just, like knowing that at the end of this thing, I think we have to say yes or no. That's what so that there'd be we have a chance to like, hey, this is what I'm hearing from people, and I know you're gonna do a survey and all,
Is
We're
there
not
a
doing
public
survey.
vote on this like there is a town plan when it's changed?
No.
No, this is directly for
You
you,
do
us
it.
and
Yeah.
the zoning plan.
And so, it doesn't say this here, but in task 6 is essentially ahead of the planning commission and going forward with their public hearing on the document. At that time in a bylaw project, that's typically when we ensure that draft is sent to the select board, because it is really important that a select board see a bylaw early before it gets to them for their public hearing process. So, certainly it doesn't say that here. I could add it. It's not gonna add any cost to the scope to make sure that the select board is also given the regulations as soon as they're put together in a full draft. And I would hope that, it does say a presentation to the planning commission, but it would be great to have some select board members there as well. If not, and if they weren't, then it would just be, sent certainly in document form or PDF form to the select board for their review at that time, right?
Also, remember that the impetus for this whole thing was public interest. So we, as the planning and zoning board, are very committed to public input. Like, that's the whole point, right? That people looked at what we were doing and said, this doesn't work so much for us. And so while we have the opportunity to have all of these interested people, now's the time to get that and bring everybody in and do it. So it's.
Linda, you had a question?
Yeah,
I agree with
to
you.
Melissa's point, I actually took a bunch of copies so that we could look at exactly what was on that petition that everybody voted unanimously for, because I had forgotten what the wording was, but I've got enough copies for everybody.
Well, here's kind of my, go ahead,
Yeah,
no, keep going.
yeah, I think you're exactly right, Melissa. Maybe the scope of this doesn't have to be as big as we thought, because really, what, you guys know Jean Richardson. She's kind of a well-known person in having to do with a lot of, these kind of things, regulations and such in Ferrisburg, I believe. And she identified 3 things that she just said, just didn't, not bad intention, but got kind of overlooked that make our zoning regs not do, did you get one right? Not do what we want them to do in the town plan. And then she noticed that it might have just been a timing thing, because the regulations got approved the year before we wrote our new town plan, so they weren't even facing the new town plan. So maybe the scope of it, if you look there, it's really just about focusing on preserving and protecting and optimizing for agriculture, which is what the town plan does. And so to Melissa's point, that's all the public is expecting, is that we don't go into the weeds, change a bunch of stuff. We just want to have no confusion and more strength in the regulations that protect the beautiful town plan.
I'm comfortable where we're at. The money thing, I just raised that, like, just if we manage it, and I know we will, so that we finish the task. And I guess the last thing, Melissa, in response to what you just said, a lot of public input. You know, I've been around politics for a while. We're hearing vocally from people that are really engaged. 3/4 of this town doesn't even know this conversation is happening. So, you know, I'm cautious. I'm thoughtful. I want us to be careful. And I know we got a lot of interest on one project, and that's great, and we're gonna capture it. That's to be applauded. And I'm optimistic that we can do it in a respectful way, but I'm also very cautious about a lot of people that are, you know, not tuned in. And just driving here tonight, I looked, you know, there's people out cutting cordwood, and there's just a lot going on. So I think we've had a good discussion. You've had great answers for the questions I raised. I think we got a good consensus, and
We're funding this out of ARPA, right? Those ARPA funds?
No, this isn't our budget.
We did actually put the money in the budget.
In the budget.
But we could pay for
It
it.
was initially discussed to be ARPA funded.
That's what I thought. We originally talked about paying this with
Out
ARPA
of
money
ARPA.
because we didn't get the
It's a one
grant.
time.
Yeah.
It was
That's
a-
how we originally talked about this.
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
So we discussed it, we originally discussed it coming out of a grant which we didn't receive. And then toward the end of, I think it was the first December meeting, we were discussing the budget, and we talked about how we should have an expense line to address something. And you all made a motion to put this in the budget.
I'd want to see that motion. That's the way I remember it. We were
You
gonna
don't
pay
get
for
it
this
now.
out.
I mean,
We were gonna pay for this out of ARPA.
either way, I mean.
Either way, it'll get paid.
Yeah.
December.
So if you do the work, you get paid. Just so you can feel comfortable.
Gavin, or write you the check this out.
I'm done. Thank you very much.
Is there anything else, Greta, you want?
Public comment?
Just a comment on the, only a third of the town knows about this. I mean, it was warned in the town meeting and then unanimously approved. So we've given a lot of people in the town a lot of notice that this is happening, or as much as we can possibly give other than knocking on every door. So I just want to point that out as a key point, that unanimously approved at town meeting, and it was also warned for town meeting, so it was widely availably known that this was
We
going
only
to
had
happen.
200 people at town meeting or less.
I know, but it was also in the booklet to
Oh, I
say, we're
understand
going to chat
that.
about it and all that.
I'm not disputing the energy.
Yeah,
Just as a note of caution.
No, I know,
That's a credit.
and
To the very end, they all
we do
get
so much to warn everybody in town, every way we can about everything, and we've done our due diligence, I think.
Getting them now.
Okay, is there any other comments before we move on? So at this time, we're gonna try to do something like 6 months along or something of that nature, is that what our goal is? So that people stay aware of the board? Is what we wanted? Just before Greta leaves, so she knows what we're.
Yeah, during project milestone type things.
So I think what I came away from this is that, Melissa will have the opportunity to update you at board meetings. Select board members are welcome to attend any of the planning commission meetings if they would like to be more involved or just check in. And then ahead of the community meeting will be a good check-in point to just give you a progress update on where we are and what, the plans are leading into that community meeting.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Greta.
Okay.
You want to sign that now, and then we can give it to him?
What's that?
The contract.
Don't you have to approve it in the zone?
Absolutely not. We had a discussion about it on Friday, and you guys are the ones who do contracts.
I make a motion, we approve the contract as presented.
You don't have to rush, because I'll just send it to her.
Second that.
Second it, all in favor?
Who seconded it, David?
Dave.
Yeah. Anybody opposed? Well, let's move right along here. Mo?
We also have Tim Putnam on Zoom, and we also have another guest in the room talking about our Amcare contract. So, Mo, but we also have the two other guests.
Okay, well, Mo's been called, so when you come up and do your business, you can get out of here, Mo.
Got probably 2/3 of town chloride, scraped up in chloride so far. What it permits.
Been a more comfortable ride.
Yeah. You guys, open your bids on your, is that tonight?
So, if you wanted to talk about we have one bidder for are you talking about the F-550?
Mm-hmm.
So we had posted in the newspaper and also on Facebook, it's been on our website, and we posted on Front Porch Forum, and we didn't receive any bidders that were serious. We didn't have any serious inquiries. We had these weird questions, but they were never followed up on and by the people who were asking the questions. So we have one formal bid, and that person bid above the $40,000 mark. So the question is, do you want to move forward with choosing the bidder with just one interested party?
I make a motion, we should, if it's over the number we said.
Yeah.
Okay, so you would want to authorize the town administrator to execute paperwork and sale of the 2017 550 to Rick Egri, sorry Rick if I said that wrong, of E&S Earthworks.
How do you spell it?
E-G-R-I-E, of E&S Earthworks for $41,500.
I make that motion.
I'll second that. Everybody in favor?
All right.
Yep. And no one's opposed?
41,500, you said?
That's correct.
Thank you for doing that. Oh. And Kathy.
Okay.
We'll get a key over to you,
Sure,
get a
yeah.
key to you, and then you can,
Yeah, I'll
Deal
talk,
with him.
the next steps would be I would want to make sure that I go online to V-Trans and get the correct paperwork and make sure that it's official with our lawyer. I assume we would want to have a lawyer involved with this, is that true? Or just
Sign the title.
sign the title? Okay.
Make sure the
And
check
also
is
do
good.
the check. That's what I'm gonna-
Make sure
I
the
was
check
gonna
is
do
good
that.
after signing the title.
Don't you worry, I was gonna do that.
Yeah,
I know
okay.
that part. I'm right on that one. so.
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Good enough. Good. What else you got, Mo?
that's it. Just, what's in page 4 is the last one, got it. What decision, I just wanna go.
They didn't want to up their price. of course.
They didn't say we'll give you, one about the set price on it.
Yeah.
So there are other road admin things that we should talk about.
Yeah, we got more right here, we might as well do it.
So, $64,430 dollars of work was done to the new F600. The equipment is included in the AP, and we talked about taking that money out of the CD, so it's under the equipment CD portion of our AP. But in order to do that, I would need a motion of the board to transfer the money from our equipment fund CD to the operating fund in the amount of $64,430.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
We all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Off you go.
The next meeting of the select board will be starting with a Q&A session with Stephanie Barrett, who is the V-Trans PR rep. And she's going to be talking specifically about Route 36 bridge construction. She won't be talking about the bypass. The bypass plan is still unclear to me, and I know that Mo has said that the select board would tell him what he should be doing. So I wanted to just check in with you all to find out if there's anything I need to do on that so that we're ready for the next meeting, or if there's something that I can help Mo with.
Gentlemen?
I think we'll learn all that stuff at the next meeting.
She's not gonna talk about the local bypass at all.
There's not,
What is this meeting?
It's the next meeting is the day
I
after.
guess the thing you need to do is find out some prices, in my mind,
Tuesday,
of getting some of those things put by Chester Active Bridge on either
May
side.
30.
You know, like you head down by Robbie and Danny Hortons,
Sign?
those signs. That's probably the most dangerous spot in that whole road, if they do that. And when we do deal with state, we ought to be after them. You need to send DOT up to check weights, because you're gonna have bigger trucks going over there than are going on now. I'm not gonna be at this next meeting. Really, something we really gotta push. Find out who we have to deal with, the Agency of Transportation, to get inspectors up there.
So we have already made a plan with our NRPC. They did I requested that they do a traffic study before all of this, and that they're gonna do one after all of this, and we're already working on seeing if they can help us with an engineer.
Well, I'd wanna make sure we take some good photos underneath that bridge
Yeah, and that's
ourselves
yeah.
before this starts, and then be taking them afterwards. Because you're gonna see a lot more decline on that
there's
bridge.
not what we're gonna do about it.
No, but you're gonna have evidence of the damage.
Yeah, no, I get it.
That's a lot more to make the case when you go to regional planning and say, well, this is what we had before they did this. And then you gotta have some facts and pictures to back up what you're making claims of, so it's a lot easier to do it beforehand.
I've been talking to Kyle
So I
about
also
that.
talked to John.
I've been
I'm
talking
sorry,
to Kyle
can I-
about that, yeah.
Sorry, do you
I've
mind?
had an email exchange that's quite rigorous with Kyle about that, what you just said.
Yeah.
And also, so I just wanted to also mention that in terms of funding, we want to make sure that, I know that you had asked how much we would have left for money, and in terms of the $19,000 grant that the state has given us. So it sounds, so John Wilkin, our District 8 roads manager, said that the price for a 225 gallon tote is about $979. Altogether, we would probably need about 19 totes to get 28 days of 1,000 cars or 2,000 cars.
Totes of what?
So that would mean of just chloride. So
We
that
buy-
means that it would be
But you buy it by volume, right?
$18,601.
You can meter how much you put out and make it right.
So altogether, the estimate is about $18,601 is how much we would use just on chloride to manage that process. And we just received notice that there's a Vermont Local Roads Sign Package Temporary Lighting Award Program due this month on the 27th, that I would be happy to write if I get some information about what we need at that bridge.
Totes of chloride, I lost.
So a while ago, you had asked how much money we would have left over after chloride, so it would be like $1,000, that's it. So we don't have enough money for anything,
You're
but,
estimating the gallons.
yeah, it's
So,
just an estimate.
so this is based on the state, we've gotten $19,000 from the state for this bypass
We do.
enterprise, so.
And the estimate is that we have about $1,000 afterward, maybe.
And
So,
that's only on one road. You gotta remember, there's a bunch of folks that are gonna go from East Fairfield up on Lost Nation, or Lapland Road.
Right.
And wind out, coming down on the south.
right, so I think I had mentioned.
So
Rockland,
just
Egypt,
to deal with, like, the first thing, so the chloride,
I don't know how we buy it by the gallon, so I'm not sure how they
Right.
come up with this tote scenario.
Well, we're just trying to figure out, I think we were just trying to figure out how to spend our money. And
well,
that
so
was the
let's just talk about it. So Mo, would you want us to allocate like 15 grand for chloride? Is that, or less than that, or?
Yeah, 2,000, I think it's 2 mile road,
I think so.
and it's a 1,000 gallon mile, so, like 2,000 gallons.
We pay
It's
what,
buck
80
18.
cents?
Buck 18.
Buck 18. So how many times you put chloride down?
So it's supposed to be 30 days? Is that what the? period is?
That's what they're talking.
So 30 days, so would you do that every 5 days? Would you put chloride down, or?
It's hard to say, depends what Mother Nature does.
Depends on the weather, whether you
What's
get
a
rain or not.
just a reasonable summertime application for, like,
Yeah, we put it on and that's,
they put it on once, right?
yeah, but the roads I get travel hard. The ones you gotta use some more, you know, like your road.
So it sounds like it's pretty
600,
reasonable.
yeah.
Put it down twice, you probably.
Yeah,
You're gonna put it twice or
And we
3
gotta-
times up there, depending on how dry that.
we gotta
mud
get some
is.
gravel on that road too before. Cause there's some places.
Sounds like good.
So basically, we have the money for just chloride and maybe some gravel, but we don't have enough money for signs, and we have this grant option.
well, yeah,
So
so,
I was just thinking, based on what Gavin was saying, that maybe we could, if we get the information from Mo about what signs we needed, I could write this grant. and
okay, just, let's do chloride
Yeah,
first.
that's
So
fine.
chloride, so we got 19K, so let's say like 12K for chloride, and like 5K for gravel, or you wanted like 10K for chloride?
Gravel $10 a yard, 1,000 yards, over fire.
Yeah, well,
You know, you put 2,000 yards on that road, pretty simple.
so what's that? What's,
$10 a yard, $10 a yard.
so
Be
it's
$20,000.
$20,000?
Yeah, dear. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, so,
the money the state giving you just,
They give you about half of what you really need to make it
yeah.
about.
well, you know, I think, not that I know anything about this, but I think gravel's more important than chloride, so maybe we do 5K in chloride.
If you don't have some chloride, hold it down and you have. that
Your
much
gravel and dust out of the
Well,
gravel.
what's the bit, because what I'd like to do is, let's put 2K for signs.
Probably like
Whack
you say,
the
July,
grant.
we all know what July is hot and dry, so, you know. Last summer was
Why don't we
wet.
use some ARPA funds for that, gravel?
So you got, how much is left now? Roughly?
65, just
No, but roughly, you
65K,
must.
roughly
I have
65K.
about 5 different budget items. that
So
I-
65,000 is roughly what you
Yeah,
think.
just sort of the last report was like,
So, and so we got 65,000, we can take some money out of there for the roads.
yeah, well, let's say, you
Because
know,
one way or the other, we're gonna be in some money on this deal, no matter what happens.
Yeah.
And probably, I'm guessing in my mind, $10,000 before we're done.
yeah, well, this isn't very far away, so,
Yeah.
you know, let's do this, let's allocate $20,000 for gravel, 10,000 out of the 19,000 from the state. Does that make sense?
Take the other 10 out of ARPA.
Take another 10 out of ARPA, so we got 20K for gravel, then let's say 16K for chloride? Mo? 6K for chloride? Right?
Yeah.
$6,000 for chloride?
That
then-
probably won't be a bad number.
And then $2,000, and you go after the grant, but let's,
So so going back to what Gavin was saying, if we want to have lights or some signage on there, and we want to go through for this grant, I would need to know what kind of signs are.
okay,
required.
let's talk about signs. So what would you, Bo, what would you recommend? 2 signs?
That's what Gavin just said, one on each side of the
Well,
road.
down there, I mean, that's
At a
the
minimum?
most critical part in that whole
So
damn
both,
road.
I mean, like maybe 4 signs, like,
You're talking red light, green light.
Yeah,
Oh.
or just signs that like we had down at Robbie.
That's what he said.
well, I was thinking like something that says, weight limit is
That would
this,
be
you
a
will be
metal sign, that
arrested.
would be a metal sign.
I already got a donation of a sign for weight limits to the end, at the end of Chester A. Arthur and the other end of Gavin Road. From District 8 when I was talking to John Wilkin. So where are they delivered them to the town
Oh,
office.
so those are like
Garage.
fixed signs,
28,000
Yeah, they would
pounds.
go on the end.
20,000 pounds?
Yeah.
That's what you turn on this road over here and now and go out there and walk 28,000.
Yeah.
So that'll remind people when it happens, but the temporary lighting award program is this grant. If I know from you guys what you want me to write for, I just need it by next
No, let's do it
Tuesday.
right now. What do you,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I don't really know.
How big were those mold that were down the Robbie?
Oh, wait, what do you mean by temporary lighting? The grant is for strictly temporary lighting, as in red light, green light, or as in
It says
warning narrow
local road
bridge?
sign package, so we would get money for our local roads to have a sign package. It can be lights, it can be signs, it can be whatever, and we have to explain to them how we're gonna use them.
So this isn't a grant, this is the
This is-
19,000 they,
No, this is a grant.
This is a separate
totally a
grant.
okay.
This
Is that from
totally a grant.
regional planning, or is that?
No, this is a
State?
state of Vermont, finance, agency of transportation finance grant, and they just want to know, what kind of work zones your town receives free, training for, and then also what kinds of, how we
When's
manage
it
these
supposed to be
work zones.
awarded?
It would be awarded by the end, I don't know, definitely this year, so before the summer, I don't know the exact date.
You know, this is gonna happen.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so what would we ask for that? We would ask for like, are we gonna do a one-way bridge? Is it gonna be a one-way on that bridge? Like red light?
One lane, I think, would be a better idea.
I would think one lane would be far better. That people, and they, so there are no, people are gonna be not knowing that road, aren't gonna know how narrow that bridge is. So if they got some type of lighting system with a flashing thing like it was at Robbie.
So go whole hog, if this is a grant and we're, realistically, we're probably just gonna say, be careful, narrow road. Ideally, it'd be nice to have a red light, green light on either end, so apply for that with a grant.
Yeah,
Whatever.
and solar, just so we don't have to put up giant light poles and pole systems.
I think you're gonna have a hard time getting an award before that.
Yeah.
What the heck, you try it.
That's what I'm saying, go big, if we get it before, great, if not,
Yeah. We can get Dave down there with a flag.
Yeah.
a feeling will be.
Is there anything in addition to the red light, green light, one lane that we could ask for? Like the weight, like a light, a sign that flashes that says 28,000 pounds? It helps in the knots, smuggler's knots, starts all the time.
No, Are
So
we legally
really,
required to put a
the
sign
application
at each
form
part of
really
the road
focuses
saying
on-
detour?
And we got a Google Maps expert here too.
Well, hello.
But are we legally required to put, by the town, put detour to Chester Road?
I think the state is the one that they said they're responsible for the
That's what I'm
detour, and they're
thinking.
sending people over to
Yeah,
105.
Right.
Didn't you say you saw a notification that they're,
Everybody's talking about that
Yeah.
as a local route, but we're not advertising it that way.
Right.
Well, it's an
the municipal detour was written into, said that it's not their responsibility.
Right. They don't want the legal responsibility if something happens on the road as soon as you put.
well,
the
how
signage.
about in that grant, we do the one lane, red light, green light, and a flashing weight, like two signs, all they can say is no, right?
Warning, narrow bridge. so-
Morning narrow bridge. Yeah.
Anything else, Mom, that you think needs to be up for that?
Yeah, can I ask a question, guys?
Yeah.
If the state is gonna designate a specific detour, and we then start doing something to protect our citizens to drive those roads, are we then liable or responsible if something does happen? Because the state is saying this is the route you should be taking.
Yeah, that's the one they should be taking. That's why I said, they told us, I'm gonna want to do this one time before when they're doing that bridge in Cedar Swamp. Yeah, West Street, and we were like, we're not putting signage up telling people to go that way. Because that's when you do, you're the one who becomes responsible. You sent them.
That's
Yeah, so the town,
Sent them.
so we're not gonna reference your question, like what Gavin said, we're not gonna direct people to go, like, what we're gonna do is warn them, we're gonna warn newcomers or people who are not familiar with the bridge. So we're not gonna direct them there, we're gonna slow them down if they get there.
Hopefully they slow down. and
I agree, I'm just
just
saying, I don't know what
slow down,
level you
maybe.
go to say, we're taking, well, I agree what we're doing, but at the same time, if the state's saying this is a detour you should take.
Yeah, the state isn't saying that.
Right.
The state is saying that they need to
Well,
get
well,
detours out,
correct.
Go to Enosburg and then down 105
and
all
that's
this
what
other
their
stuff.
sons are gonna say.
Correct. But we know there's gonna be factors.
We know what's gonna happen down here for our local people. And some others may, but that's what I'm saying, when you get some bigger trucks going on there, that are gonna try to swing around through there. Going to turn into a mess for it somehow. So those signage grant, is there anything else you guys wanna discuss with us right now?
Anything else?
About roads,
Yeah.
yeah,
That's-
Before we
and
do that, back to the gravel, we got a number for gravel?
Yeah, we said 20 tanks, so 10 from ARPA, 10 from the,
That's that, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Because you're gonna have to start on the gravel pretty soon if we're gonna get ahead of that.
Are you putting regular gravel down low on name now? That's what your plan is,
Yeah.
regular stuff.
Get the pit opened up over there.
You guys had asked me to give you what it would look like to do the contract process from the LCT for insurance. And this is the checklist that I went over with Mo. And what we would need to do in order to have contractors working with us without having to pay for workman's comp. So they have a contract for a small project, a non-employee work agreement, and then a certificate of insurance. And so this, the first page is what would need to be done prior to each new project. And then there's just, you know, before the project takes place, we need a description when it's gonna happen and how much it's gonna cost, and then signage. And then the non-employee work agreement is similar, but it's verifying that the contractor has insurance.
This is when we hire an excavator to help them do ditching work.
That's correct, and we've actually already done this with one contractor already, and it seemed to go well.
It's a little longer,
It seems like,
but I'm sure it's like.
Really, like, if you're looking at, that's why I have the page, you know, page 1, you only have to do something on page 1, page 3, page 14.
Okay.
And it's just like date, description, and signage. That's it, really.
What do you think, Mo?
I don't think it would.
No, like, in terms of being able to work with this?
Don't have to.
Yeah.
It's one of the things.
Right.
how many contractors, just for excavating, for ditching and that stuff, we use 2 or 3?
Yeah.
So basically, those are the ones we want to make sure, those are the majority ones.
Can these be, are these project specific or contractor specific?
All contractors. So when I do the workman's comp reports, it's all contractors, but we have.
No, but I think what he's asking is if the contractor, Joe's XYZ excavating, signed it once, is that good for
No, it's every project.
every project?
So it isn't good for a year, it's good for the.
It's good for, but you could call the project summer excavating.
Right.
And
good
you
for
have
the
it with
summer.
one person, but you have to estimate how much they're gonna get paid.
Yeah, and all you can do is estimate.
Yeah,
Right.
you
So that would be fine. It's
It's
just
just-
something that would have to take place before.
just cuts out a lot of the chasing for both of you. If we have 3 or 4 guys that run an excavator, or we hire for whatever reason, just call them up, tell them, come see Kathy. Summer work,
Yeah.
$5,000 to $10,000 or 5 to 15.
Yeah,
make an
and I just
estimate.
need that description before they show up. So the only thing that I would really make sure that is clear is that if I'm gonna be the point of contact for this, that I still get the information that I need. I can't just have somebody come in and sign this without knowing they're coming. So that's really important.
Right, you know roughly which contractors we work with, right? So, you know, 2 of you doc and just make a list of 4 or 5 people. And
Projects, you know, we got coming, you know, because I know.
Yeah, coming or,
Day of call. And how does that work? I mean, you have an emergency scenario.
well, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
these 4 or 5 guys, if it rains really hard tonight,
Yeah,
Mo's gonna call them up at 2 in the morning, and when you get here at 8, they're set to go already.
yeah.
Yeah.
We gotta have something for that kind of emergency, because we've had enough of those.
Does that make sense? Does that-
This whole thing makes sense to me. I feel that it's important that we make sure the communication is clear.
Right.
Who's going to be telling me what, when? That's
And
important.
some of that, when you get in emergency scenarios, you're gonna have projects where people are gonna be working on them, and Mo's gonna have to keep track of who's on them, because you're not gonna be able to.
I don't know this stuff, yeah, exactly.
We just have to know Joe can work on such a road in a storm, but so many hours, whatever, get the damn thing signed, gonna be what the bill is.
Right,
And
just,
that's-
yeah, as soon as the information comes my way, I will definitely help with this.
I think just as a growth area, just, you know, like there's this interstate compact, you know, emergency assistance compacts. And so there's an emergency between states. There's agreements that are signed. They're not signed on a project, they're not signed on a disaster, they're signed beforehand.
Right.
So it seems like maybe we could expand this a little bit somehow, put our thinking caps and make it so we sign up our contractors with one piece of paper and it's good for the entire year. You know, the estimated work is $15,000 or something, and
Right.
you know what I mean? So there's no, we had a rainstorm, so we're gonna call in somebody, and we gotta, be scrambling, like,
Right, really, the only two parameters are if the work is gonna cost over $2,000, we need estimates from two people. And if
That's
the
not
work
gonna
is gonna
happen.
cost over $50,000.
If we have emergency scenarios, that's not gonna happen, Kathy. We gotta be real on this stuff.
No,
That's not
what
gonna
I'm saying.
happen.
Yeah, no, what I'm saying is that with it, we don't have a lot of parameters.
No,
That's what I'm saying.
over 2,000, they don't know. They start working, some will go through for 3 days trying to get the roads back open, or something.
Even on a normal culvert, 2,000 is,
Yeah,
Yeah, it's peanuts nowadays. There needs to be a higher amount on that if that's the case. It's just like everything else, something you used to put
well,
$1,000.
let's go with this, and maybe we could review this is great step forward, and it's compliant, so let's see if we can just review it for the next meeting, to see if there's any improvements, but,
See if there's ways around some of this stuff.
right.
There is one other thing that I wanted to make sure that we talked about, but it's an executive session issue, to discuss contracts, if that's something that we can do now,
Let's put it, is there any other
based on
executive stuff
the
we can do?
conversation we had
you know,
last
you need
meeting.
more here too?
It's a road conversation.
Yeah. So we should do it now.
Okay, I make a motion that we enter executive session to discuss a contract issue. Is it a short, long?
I don't think so. Second.
No action taken.
No action taken, discussion.
Best kind we like.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that idea. Yeah, don't go by that clock. See you later, thank you, Mo.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mo.
Linda, do you have a
So
lot?
we actually
No, I can be
have,
done in 5 minutes.
you have, just I want to mention that we have two guests who are
Yeah,
waiting as well.
we'll let Linda do her business and get out of here too.
Okay, talked about the internet. Right now, we're paying $51.26 for 30 up, 5 down. Fidium is gonna be 300 up, 300 down, plus a static IP. It's $90 a month before the tax and whatever. We're having a real hard time right now getting, everything I do is a state internet thing.
Yeah.
So, it takes
What was
about,
it you had a question last time. Do you
There's
have to
no-
lock into a long-term
No,
contract
nope.
or how's that?
nope, month to month.
Month to month?
Month to month, it takes about 3 weeks though before they set us up, so
Excuse me.
I
So
would
if
just,
we get it started, just.
if you
right
give
there.
me permission, I can get it on the list.
Well, I think we need high-speed internet, it's tough.
300 up, $90 plus tax and whatever.
No, we're gonna keep this simple, move it along. You
Yep.
guys agree with this or not?
I agree.
That's up, yeah.
Yeah, everybody in favor?
Okay.
Okay, just delinquent is down to 39,142, which I think is great, and then I just gave you a printout showing, the town lease, what you've made on that, and that's it.
And Linda got a new computer. And you had asked me what fund we could, what CD we could get that money out of. The computerization of CD balance is $22,000 right now. And Amanda says that it would be appropriate for us to use that. So I would just need you to authorize the town administrator to transfer $2,082.50 from the CD to our operating
Can
account.
you gentlemen make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second it?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Perfect.
How much is it, 2,000?
Thank you.
See you later,
When
Linda.
the,
$2,082.50.
the lease is paid up and good,
Yeah,
right?
no, that, I was just giving you that to show you what
But
it shows
generated
each
since-
year, what it
Yeah.
generates each year. And there was some trees he lost, so
Yeah, no, I just,
I just thought you guys would like to see the
Okay.
comparison.
yeah, no, that's good, thank
You
you.
get up here, sir, so you can go home.
Oh, no problem.
I don't know about that, you want more money, don't you?
Oh, well, of course. The wife that were, did you bring any copies?
I didn't bring copies, but I do have the one to sign.
I made
Okay, great,
two official new ones.
I'll give it to the guys that can actually see something.
When you like me, I had to stop and pick up the glass and I put it on the camera. Luckily, work was on the way. Oh.
Look at the numbers more than
So just,
It's the last page.
so, I'm sorry.
Yep, so
I forget your name.
I'm Kathy.
Kathy. Kathy
We had to
reached
talk
out to
about
us
it.
saying that, we didn't have a contract. And so we got into a discussion. Basically, your contract was set to renew automatically. When it ended, we were 10 years, and we signed 10 years, walk through it, signed 10 years. So it renewed, but the terms were only up until December. So basically, the first 5 months of the year, right now, you're paying last year's term. That's good. Which is good, so you saved some
money. You
money.
might as well go home, work.
But unfortunately, the way things go and the way inflation has been in the last few years, it's like, we cannot keep going with a 2% rate increase every year. So the proposal that we have in front of you is a 4% proposal.
This is 4% over last year.
It's 4% over last year.
Did you read what Blue Cross is going up?
Pardon?
I just read Blue Cross is going up 16%.
Just Blue Cross? Everything's going up. I'm sure your school taxes are going up as well. Mine went up like.
Oh, I think they're working hard in Montpelier not to do that.
Yeah, I know, but that already went up in Georgia, trust me. Even though we didn't hold the budget in 3 times.
What was this year's, what was 2023, do you know?
I don't have your contact.
I can
number,
get
do you?
it.
Sorry.
That's all right, that's all right.
Well, they've
You
been,
said 4%.
they've been
that's right.
going
It was
up.
2% before.
The contract is for the all years, so we would sign it for, what is it, 10 years, 10
And
years.
this is a 4% increase
Every year for 10
4%.
10 years.
Oh, this is not 4% from last year.
It's 4% from last year for this year, and then next year,
Oh,
another
okay.
4, and next year another 4, and next year another 4.
Okay.
For
It
10
kind of goes
years.
with inflation and with everything else.
What is the response time that, if someone asks me, it's probably, if someone in the village of Fairfield,
So right
call
now,
you and I one in the village.
so it'll all depend on whether I have a crew in Sheldon or not.
Okay,
But quite honestly, we've done the math, we've done the math, and we've done the 2 trucks responding at the same time because the call warranted it.
so Sheldon is out on 105,
Yes.
when I see it parked out there?
Yep,
And then
no,
you-
not parked in the middle of the road. We have a station right in Sheldon.
Right in Sheldon.
Right by
Right in
Sheldon
Springs.
Right by Bridge Street. So
Well, what about the
Jim's
105?
lunch.
Is that one of your, yeah?
that's usually what happens when we are so busy in the city that that truck, instead of staying there, comes like at a more localized, centralized
see.
place at Russell Road, basically.
Yeah.
So they're not so far from the city anymore in case we need a 3rd truck in the city. They're still not so
City
far
of what,
from-
St. Albans? You talking about, Sam?
Yeah, so they're still not so far from Sheldon or from Fairfield.
So what is your coverage? St. Albans City,
So
St. Albans
right now, we
Town?
have St. Albans City, St. Albans Town, Sheldon, Fairfield, and Georgia, until July. We lost Georgia this year.
Okay.
They wanted to save 25 cents per capita. They'll be back next year.
So what, if there's one in Sheldon, what, that's like 10 minutes or?
You know, right in here, the village, it doesn't matter where we come from. We're actually faster because on Route 36, once we're up over the hill and straight, we can book it pretty good. Whereas through, Main Street in Sheldon and then through North Road and whatnot, there's some curves and whatnot, we gotta be a little more careful, particularly in the snow. Other times, it's easier to come out of Sheldon if St. Albans Hill or Fairfield Hill is not good. And we had times where, nice gentlemen with plows have pushed us up the hill.
Yeah.
Do you have any, like, records of utilization of our residents calling your services?
I can get those, yes.
I'd like to know, I mean, for next meeting, or,
Sure, I can have.
I mean, just,
Send it over
are
if you want.
there 100 calls a year, or 10 calls a year, or what?
I think Fairfield would be 150 to 200 calls a year, roughly.
That'd be interesting to see.
It's not huge. It's not huge. The state-
Well, it's huge, I mean, that's,
Tougher bunch up here.
yeah.
Tougher bunch up here.
It's all proportional. You know, the city is the bulk,
Yeah.
obviously. That's where we have all the people that live in Tent City and all the drugs.
Yeah.
Although, we're still, you know, we see them in Fairfield, and
Oh, yeah.
Georgia, and Sheldon, we see them everywhere, but definitely the city is the bulk. Then the town, because it's bigger.
Yeah, no, I'd like to see your, do you have an annual report? Do you have,
We don't do an annual report, we haven't, but I'd be glad to give you numbers.
yeah, just the numbers for like what the calls.
Yeah, I'll email it to you, okay?
Yeah, that's great.
So, we have a contract with St. Albans City Dispatch, which is, the E911. When people call 911, it goes directly to St. Albans. There are 2 other places in Vermont that do that, but I think that it's great that we have a local 911 and then we have a local, EMS.
What happens too is when they call other places, they end up in St. Albans anyway. 'cause
Right.
St. Albans is a 911 PSAP,
Right, exactly.
or Williston. But if it's in this area, it's supposed
Or
to go.
Cambridge, I think, all the way south or something.
That's
No,
a Lemoyne.
not Cambridge, but southern Vermont, they don't.
Way south,
Yeah.
but that's, the PSAPs are basically the Vermont 911 PSAPs, or point of public access, safety access, something like that. And then if you're on, say you're on Shelburne Dispatch, so the call comes to St. Albans, the dispatcher in St. Albans has to pick up the phone, call Shelburne, say, hey Shelburne, you got a call in St. Albans, so, you know, it doesn't make much sense, so.
Yeah.
You know, we're glad, I mean, we don't dictate where you get your dispatch from, but this is up to you guys, it's not up to you, and it's not in the contract, it's what, the contract basically says, you guys are in charge of dispatch. But it makes sense, to have your local dispatch, and right at your 911 PSAP, because at that point, all they do is they push NCARE. They push a button that has NCARE on it, it's actually touchscreen, and it rings us right after that, or it tones us. Same with your fire department, you know, if it calls a fire or a car accident, they push fire, and they push us, and boom, and it just sends a message on, and this pager goes up, and you can just put it on beat before the meeting. Yeah. But
He uses that when he's bored, turns it, activates, it, he's out of here.
makes it go so he can leave.
Look in the back, say, that's
Done
quiet
that,
girl.
done that
stay
before.
there.
But yeah, I mean,
So this is a 10-year contract.
yes,
Was the previous one 10 year or 5?
10.
10.
Yes. We can go 5, it's up to you guys.
I'm just thinking
And
about
the previous one was
termination.
2% every year for 10 years, right?
It was 2% every year
Yeah,
for
so-
10 years. The contract as it is right now renewed for 10 years. It automatically renewed unless one of us said something 180 days prior to the end of the contract. Unfortunately, we both missed it. We thought it was next year. And I think you guys thought it was next
Well,
year.
what the heck, give us a free year and we'll sign again.
I can go back to the drawing board for sure, but, and actually, like I said, the contract is there, it's just, you guys needed to know about the increase, and that's what we probably should sign anyway, but that's.
So if you're all comfortable with signing the contract tonight, then I would just need to be authorized. It would be either the chair or the vice chair or me. You just have to authorize me to sign it. Otherwise, we can do some research and get back to you.
Do we have to do 10 years? If we decide for some reason to go somewhere else, I don't want to pay for your station.
Which one, the one there?
I don't know, it says in here we have to pay for it.
No, you're not paying for it.
That's
Paying
what
the
it says in
station.
there, if you leave.
No, if you leave, you have to pay the contract.
No, we have to, you guys rented something and we have to pay for it.
Oh, we rented, yeah, we didn't buy it.
I'm not paying your rent, I'm not making Walter work.
Who?
Who owns it, whoever owns the building.
Will, right, William Rosen. I don't know what it is, I just do work. I'm just a grunt.
Welcome to my world.
Nah.
What would you gentlemen like to do?
No change in price or anything for a 5 versus a 10?
Pardon? No, it's about the same rate.
I make a motion, we approve the contract for 5 years, and see you again in 5 years.
I can bring the contract back up for 5?
Yeah.
We'll have to rewrite it.
Does that work?
It's written for 10. It's up to you guys.
I mean, I'm comfortable with 10, but like,
I'm comfortable with 10, but there should be some kind of provisions for termination.
There is. There are termination provisions, you just have to use.
Yeah,
I
I
believe,
believe here, yeah.
so it's 180 days notice?
Yeah.
that's on the term of the contract, so, yeah.
30 days, I think.
Obviously, if we don't do our job, you have.
No, I understand that, but I mean, for non-cost, like,
Yeah.
How many years have you done
somebody,
Pardon?
How many years have you done it for Fairfield? Do you know?
Fairfield was right off the bat, so since 1989,
That's what I thought.
since Walt Crew and at the time John Coleman created one.
Have we ever gotten a complaint? Have you ever gotten a complaint?
Not one complaint I know of.
We love your fire chief, by the way.
He's pretty hard to get along
We're
with.
okay.
He's pretty hard to get along with.
He's a really good dude, and every time, there's something bad or whatever, he's always
Yeah.
there to help, and I'll drive if you guys want me to, you need a hand, well, we can drive for you. But often, we show up just two of us.
There were two occasions recently where they stranded us at the hospital.
That's good.
They go into, we're professionals, you guys
Maybe you
wait out
should
front.
write in the contract that have to pay tax and fare to Fairfield.
This is a 5% increase.
4. It's supposed to be 4.
Paragraph.
He told me 4. He lied.
We'll take 4.
We were agreeing to 4, that's what we were agreeing to, so.
All right, I stand corrected.
So we're gonna agree on 4?
I can't do that, I'm not the boss. Yeah. I thought we had discussed 4.
We did discuss
In the
more.
meeting, yeah.
Yeah, in the meeting we did, yeah.
I'm not sure why that,
It should say 4.
yeah.
I haven't done, you have my document, but we could do the math, I bet it's 4 on the back, but we do the numbers on the back.
You did the numbers on the phone? Let's see. I don't know, I'm not smart to do that.
Well, before we sign the contract, we'll slash the 5 and put 4 in and do that.
I would definitely do that for sure. Actually, I think we should reprint it and
Yeah.
have you guys sign it next time, so. Let's see, I don't have the last one, so,
just do the 24, 25.
yeah. If I remember how to do this right, I'm not that good at
Rule number 1, never do math in public.
Yeah.
that. 4%.
Take them.
Yeah, it's 4%.
Oh, it's 4%?
It's
Oh,
4% on the back.
The math
It's
says
not-
4%.
I think
I think it's a typo, and I don't know why she said she caught a typo, or his secretary, and I think maybe they made a mistake there, because
Yeah, I think it's.
definitely the first, I just checked the first numbers, and it's definitely 4%, so. That makes kind of sense.
So can we change that number, or do you gotta go back?
I mean,
Why don't you
it's
make it
based on the.
5 years and come back at 4%.
It's whatever you
Just,
guys tell me to
Kathy,
do.
if you want.
I'll do whatever you guys want. You tell me you want a 5-year contract, I'll
I
come
would,
back and get a
if it's,
5-year.
if it can be terminated, I would go with 10.
I'm more liable, I'm thinking more than 10 myself, just my opinion.
Yeah, because you don't wanna get 5 years and all of a sudden they're gonna check, we got a 10-year contract. If they wanna go 15% a year, we're stuck.
The other option was to go with a CPI, but I don't know. I mean, I've looked at the CPI and it hasn't been favorable in the last couple of years.
Well, I'm comfortable with 10%. And change that number to 4 and get an initial and.
10 years.
Yeah, 10 years, 10 years.
Are you ready, man?
You've been around Montpelier too long,
Yeah.
haven't you, Brian? Yeah.
We sent a quick text to the boss man.
Or send us a revised contract. on
Send
this.
the
Yeah,
revised
yeah.
to us.
I think the revised contract, I mean, we've
Yeah,
been going
maybe that,
for,
yeah.
we've been going for like
Do you want
5
me to-
months now, May. We're well into May.
Well, just to make it official, I'd make a motion that we would renew the AmCare contract out of term 4% for 10 years. And we get our chair to sign it.
Excuse me.
During the, you send us some statistics so we can publish those in our minutes, maybe, for, utilization.
Absolutely. I can send,
And who to call and where it's coming from and,
when somebody asks me, I give them a report.
yeah.
I don't do it automatically for everybody, but if you ask me, I'll give you a report.
Yeah. Yeah, and that motion would authorize the chair to
Nowadays, it's so
sign.
easy. Back in the day when Walt was there, it was all on paper and you couldn't track it, now it's all automated. Fairfield, boom, psh.
Yeah, good.
So,
To authorize the chair or the town administrator.
Chair.
and I will,
Somebody want to second it?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
I will have it rewritten, send you some statistics and send it back on.
Well, thank you.
And I look forward to, well, you won't see me for 10 more years.
Yeah.
I'm telling you that.
I'll send a Christmas card.
Right.
You see me for five more years, I'll be 68, it'll be time to go.
You said that 10 years ago when I started.
No, did I?
Yeah, so
Thank you, Clement.
You're trying to make it feel good about yourself. Thanks for coming.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you guys, you're welcome to keep the copy that you have there.
Thanks for serving.
You're welcome.
Be safe.
Thank you for
I wouldn't do it any more than
Yeah,
anything.
thank you very much.
Thanks.
You have Tim Putnam's phone number.
I'll have that to you tomorrow.
Okay,
Awesome, thank you. Have a good night, guys.
Have a good night.
hold on for a second,
He's having issues with audio quality. It's deteriorated throughout the call, and at this point, he's unable to understand the conversation that's
I have
taking
his-
place.
I have his cell number, we can call him, I'm kind of on speaker.
So basically, they want to have a bike race up.
Yeah, hold on.
This is the type of stuff we should probably worry about.
Hi, Tim. I'm good, how are you?
Good, hey, sorry about
We're,
the audio quality, I'm not totally sure.
that's,
Very tough to understand.
okay, we have the select board here. Did you want to just tell the select board about your plan and your idea?
Yeah, so we've been in touch with the East Fairfield Community Center. They're hosting, or they're having a pizza and band on August 10th. We had discussed with them about hosting a bike ride in conjunction with the event, kind of the morning before. That would have two route options, but both ending kind of coming down Mill Street and then onto School Street. And just out of safety aspect, we were requesting that we potentially could close that intersection for, kind of the late morning, early afternoon time frame, just in order to make sure that there wasn't any kind of traffic issues that could occur.
What day of the week is it?
It is a Saturday,
Saturday.
August 10th.
And what intersection?
Mills.
Intersection of Mill Street and School Street. So right there by the Billion.
And what's the name of the group? The what? Like, is this the community center doing this project? Is it a?
So the group that is doing the bike event, it's called Detour is the name of the event. And then we're hosting it kind of in conjunction with the community center, who is also doing a live music and pizza night that afternoon evening, as a fundraiser. And so the bike event is also going to be part of that fundraiser for them. This is a bike event that we have hosted in previous years out of Westford.
You had said that it was only going to be for about an hour, is that still correct?
Yeah, it would be, we're still developing the schedule a little bit, but it would probably be like the 1 to 2 p.m. or like noon to 2 p.m. time frame.
So the detour to School Street?
The road close would be on the end of Mill and School, right at the corner of Mill and School.
So if you had emergency services, had to get through, which way, how would they go?
So if you approve this, then I would have to contact emergency services. I don't know their route.
They would go through Bridge Street.
We can't.
No,
A truck couldn't go through Bridge Street, but an ambulance could, or
No.
the ambulance could make it through there either.
Weight wise, I think even that's over the bridge.
There wouldn't be any closure of Mill Street. It's just that the end of School Street, we wouldn't want any cars coming up and onto Mill Street from School Street. So Mill Street would still be open.
Oh, okay.
We don't want to close Mill Street. We recognize that is a main thorough way for traffic.
Oh, so you're talking about closing School Street, just the community center parking lot, basically?
Essentially, yes.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Someone make a motion to accept this, or do it?
Make a motion, we can go School Street.
For the
But we,
detour for 2 hours.
School Street in the area of the community center, with the stipulation is no disruption of traffic on Mill Street.
Yep.
That's what you're looking for. Okay, that makes more sense than
Yeah.
if you close down.
On 10 August from noon to 2.
From noon to 2, yes.
Someone second?
I second.
Good. All in favor of it?
All right.
Right.
Okay.
Be safe.
Have fun.
Thank you all, I appreciate the time.
Mill Street.
I'm trying to figure out,
Yeah.
you can't get around there. Yeah,
I make a motion, we approve the minutes dated 22/8.
Someone second that?
I'll second.
Is there any changes or amendments or anything you want to add to those, or just take them as accepted? If you don't, we're gonna, all in favor of?
Aye.
Okay, that one's done. You guys been through the bills and all that?
I make a motion, we approve the warrants.
Library has a new employee, take it.
Yes, yeah, the new sub.
Okay, and there was another time card with a note on it. Is that,
It's a thing. Well, they come late for that particular person. That person texts me or emails me their confirmation of their hours. And because of scheduling, it's hard to
right,
get
that's
that.
fine, I just,
Yeah.
communication is, whether it's a day
It's-
late, $1 short, is there.
Yeah, I've given a lot of strategies to help with the situation, so I think it'll be okay.
Okay, I just,
Hopefully.
there's a
it'll
note
be
on
okay.
that one, as long as you're addressing it up front.
Yeah, very clearly, yep.
So you make a motion, someone second the motion?
Sure.
Everybody happy?
Yep.
And everybody in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, good, those are done. That should be done good.
But I talked to Bernard Jarvis, he's the guy that Tyler Billingsley suggested we talk to about doing something with this septic over at the Common School. He's gonna, for I guess $350, put together basically a letter saying, this is what you could do over there. Until we have an idea of what's going on, we're chasing unicorns, so.
Yeah.
So if you guys are okay with that, he'll basically look at pre-existing uses, how many kids are in the school, what the flow rate is, because the septic would be designed on, you know, what was previously done, and if we're gonna, the use of the building is gonna be less than that, we might get away with not touching the septic, but, so anyways, they're gonna give us an idea of
Okay.
what the uses can be. You wanna sign it as a chair, or?
This approves, lets him start his business?
Yeah, it's basically a desktop review.
And do we need a motion on this, cause it's only $350?
No,
I didn't think
just
so.
a signature.
Okay.
Just sign it, but he had my name on it. but
We'll
just sign
cross
it.
that useless
Yeah.
thing out. Okay.
Kathy, you got your,
I have a couple of admin things, not road related.
Oh, no, what's this?
Kathy, if she wants
Kathy's
to.
gonna have this one.
Thank you. So, let's see, we have one contractor actually 2 contractors are interested that I know of for the Old Town Clerk's office and doors job. St. Albans Glass declined because they're too busy, but they did refer me to somebody who has come to look at it, and I told the 2 bidders, or the 2 contractors, to get me something for the next meeting. So that's the plan at that point. Estimates will be here by then. The community center roof, our insurance denied the claim due to a clause about poor workmanship. We have since received, it took a while, but we received a new certificate of insurance from the contractor who did the job. And we will be pursuing their insurance at this point. So we'll see what happens there. The local emergency management plan is ready to be adopted again for this year, and it just needs to be approved.
just before,
There's no changes. Yeah.
before we go on with the poor
Yeah.
workmanship, do we,
They did a whole visit. They visited, they just took lots of pictures, they They analyzed the work that was supposed to be done and the work that was done, and they saw that it was erroneous. It wasn't correct.
Someone involved in the community center hired these fellows, right?
Right.
So I don't,
Okay, I don't,
So the contract was, we have a contract with them approving them to do work at the community center, using ARPA funds. So we worked on a contract to do that, and they moved forward with that project. Some of it came from ARPA funds, some of it came from their grant writing, but they're the ones who hired the contractor.
right.
And when they put the claim into their insurance, they found out that their insurance no longer covers the structure. So at some point, we need to discuss their lease and come up with some ideas about that. But at this point, the more pressing issue is their insurance company didn't cover it, our insurance company didn't cover it. If we put it to this contractor and they don't approve it, they don't cover it, it still needs to get done. So then we have to discuss what are we going to do next.
Is it?
They put a suspended ceiling and didn't wire it up right. Is it what I understand?
It buckled. So the suspended ceiling for their East End renovations project wasn't done correctly. I can get the whole report.
Well, I'm just curious.
They had petitions in their previous. They took petitions out because they wanted a big room.
Yeah.
Then they tried to do a wired ceiling. They didn't have support enough to carry the ceiling.
Right.
Roughly. I mean, that's the way
I'm just asking because I don't know, but this comes down to one of them common sense things.
Yeah.
Are we doing 7,000 hours worth of legwork for a $50 job?
Oh, no, this is gonna cost you something like that.
Okay.
Is it stabilized?
It's stabilized temporarily, and so that had to be done.
Yeah.
So, and actually the previous contractor stabilized it, so we just have to move forward with the next step, and then hopefully we'll be able to.
They're gonna have to push hard on his insurance.
Right.
And then you get another one already certifying it was poor workmanship.
And it's out of our hands now?
So in the meantime, what we need to talk about is at some point, not tonight because it's getting pretty late, but we have to talk about who's on first with contracting at the community center when it comes to who's hiring the next contractor. And if it's them, we need to have a memorandum of understanding. And if it's us, then we have to come up with a plan for
So
that.
right now, it's out of your hands, right?
But right now, it's our insurance talking to this guy's insurance, and then we have to decide who's gonna be hiring the contractor.
Okay. Sounds like next meeting.
Yeah. Or two.
Or two. So we have to adopt we haven't made any changes to the local emergency management plan. It just needs to be signed by the board chair and approved by the select board. And I would just suggest that you go ahead and approve.
Someone make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Oh, actually, it needs to be signed by all of the select board, I'm pretty sure.
Someone second it?
Which one is it? I just want to look at it, see what the hell we're talking about.
I didn't bring the full
Been in place
contract,
for
it's the
years,
same
Steve.
one from last year.
I haven't, so I'm not old and funny like you.
No, it's actually not, this one is just the select board. Chair.
But you said nothing changed.
Nothing's changed just from last year. I updated the whole thing when I first started to make sure that all of the local emergency contacts were correct. There were a lot of things that were not correct. And since then, I haven't made any changes, but I've looked at it every year to see if the contacts are still correct.
It's that simple.
Do you get anything else? Will they peruse?
Yeah, so, sorry, we have to, so I updated, we can talk about this at the next meeting. I updated the town of Fairfield controls for financial management to include the file clerk duties and clarify the actual functions of some of the accounts payable. It was signed, this town treasurer has reviewed all of it and signed it because it's appropriate for her, according to her. So at this point, I have copies of it. You can look it over if you'd like, and we can talk about it next time, or we can. How would you like to proceed with that one?
It's just their scope of work.
It includes her scope of work. There are some changes that I made that I can give to you.
I don't think we need to do that now.
Why don't I give it to you, and then you can look at it for the next meeting?
Can you email it to us?
Yep, I can email it to you.
So on this one here, you guys want to accept this?
Yes, I'll make a motion to accept it. Have the
Yeah, I'll
vice
second
chair
it. All in favor? Might as well wait and let Tom sign it. He's all printed out on it.
These are the
So
only
we
two
can let Tom sign the
changes.
thing. Tim Corr's gonna
Is
sign
it gotta
it.
be back right off, Kathy, or?
It needs to be within the next couple weeks.
Yeah, just have Tom sign it or something. It's all printed out for him.
Yep.
Well, this is in response to like our staffing. This shows
Yes.
flexibility, accountability,
Right.
transparency. You're to be applauded for.
Right.
This is having another set of eyes doing financial
Right.
work with the town, and also having a little more depth and leveraging collaboration.
Yeah, basically, it
Linda gave
includes.
some input on that, and this is kind
Yeah.
of bearing fruit on that. So
So
thank
it
you.
also just includes some of the details that we didn't have in there, so.
Yeah.
The Historical Society has an $1,800 expense reimbursement for a sign and subscription approved by their board, and it's in our IP. But I need a motion to authorize the town administrator to transfer $1,863.63 from their Historical Society fund, where the fiscal agents for, and to the operating account for their first quarter expenses.
Do they have it all,
They have the money in their fund?
Oh, yeah, they have.
is there an approval process for that?
So yes, so I created a cover sheet for them, so Tori writes the things that he wrote and the expenses on there and attaches all the receipts and confirmation of
Yeah, I
receipt.
saw that.
And then two of their board members approve it, sort of like the way the library gets approvals. And once that's done, he sends it to me as a package and I put it in there. So
I'll make a
just
motion to approve that transfer, $1,080.
$1,800 something.
$1,800.63.
I'll second.
Second it. All in favor? Anybody opposed? No?
Then the only other thing is the property transfer, which was warned on our meeting agenda. Tim Hawkins said that for this, in order for there to be a valid property transfer, the select board needs to introduce this concept that we have for purchasing property next to the Fairfield Pond, and making sure that there's a conversation in public that you have about that, and then we open it up to community comment, and then we close community comment and make a specific motion that I have written down. And remember, this is for $1 to purchase from the town of Swanton.
Yeah.
We had complete,
So do you guys want to know about this?
So for historical context, the village of Swanton purchased a 2.4 acre lot on the northeast corner of Fairfield Pond, and made it a dam to raise the outlet to ensure that the village of Swanton residents would have access to the pure water of Fairfield Pond. And they dug a wooden pipe and they replaced it with a metal pipe, and it goes today from the northeast corner, well, actually like the center part of the north part of the town, by the public beach, all the way to the village of Swanton. And the village of Swanton approached the town of Fairfield and expressed an interest in selling said 2 acre lot back to the town for the reasonable price of $1.
And they paid the legal fees and all. We paid our end, but they had everything set up, right?
Yeah, so-
Yeah, so we have done our due diligence, Kathy and our town attorney, to make sure the title is clear, that there's no exposure that we can anticipate for the taxpayers and the citizens of the town of Fairfield, and think this is a historic opportunity for the town of Fairfield to get control of a really strategic part of Fairfield Pond. And the state of Vermont actually has an inventory of dams in the state, and this dam is listed on the inventory, and it's rated. There doesn't seem to be any negative rating of this worthiness or the integrity of the dam. So the town, the town of Fairfield Selectboard has discussed this at length for 6-7 months
Yeah.
at least. And we think we've dotted the i's and crossed the t's, and we think it's a good historic opportunity. And other than the beavers being a constant issue that want to raise the level of the dam, which is, one of the concerns, but the village of Swanton has kind of managed that. We think it's a responsible environmentally and also for the interest of the town and the pond to take this purchase for $1.
What's in it for them? Like, why did they
They didn't want to run up there and
They
clean the
don't,
beaver
they no
debris
longer,
out.
yeah.
That's what I was just.
Basically.
So that's what we're
We'll
paying
take
for.
the backhoe on occasion and clean the thing up. It's right
Well,
on,
what's in it for them is they had an interest 100 years ago.
right.
They no longer, now they get their water from the lake.
Oh, that part.
So they don't take, I'm sorry.
Water still flows from their pipe, and there's people that have tapped onto it, and part of their agreement was they had to supply it, but when the thing falls apart, or the water level would drop, they're not
Okay, so
responsible.
we're not suddenly taking over for $1
No,
responsibility of
nothing to
that.
do with
end.
No, we have nothing to do with pipe or plumbing or anything. That legacy system is there, and there are some farmers that are, but that's not our
That's
issue.
their business, Swanton.
Okay.
Yeah, we're taking the dam, period, and the lot.
And we'd like to make sure that it stays elevated
Right.
where it
Yeah.
is. So the thing doesn't drop, what was it, 5 or 8 inches?
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's,
So if it came into anybody else's hands, it could, the level of the lake could be different.
Kind of gives us town of Fairfield control over that dam.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we're gonna get some maple tap revenue, I think, maybe out of that.
well, we're gonna try.
Because there's some taps on it,
Yeah.
so. Any other questions?
Pull your stuff. Yeah, so,
Any other comments from the public or the?
has anybody got comments before we take a vote on this thing to accept this bid?
Good.
If no one has,
Okay, so I have this very specific motion that needs to be read, and then who wants to do the due diligence here?
Dave's got better eyesight, so.
There's an entire section
Put my
of the
glasses
deed that
away.
needs to be read
Yeah.
into the, right into the record, so yellow and yellow. That is what Tim Hawkins requested that you do.
I move that the select board give the town administrator the authority to sign all documents necessary to effectuate the purchase of the property from the town of Swanton described in the deed as follows.
Village of Swan. Does it say town of Swan?
Town of
Said
Swanton.
town of Swan.
Okay.
Maybe it's the village of Swan.
Let's see, it'll tell here in the,
Well, I know whose trucks come out and work on the dam, and it's not the town.
Well, I'll just double check.
So-
I copied and pasted it, but I'll double check with
no, the deed says village, so I'm guessing that's,
Does the deed say the village of Swan?
yeah.
Okay, so I would amend that.
I move that the select board give the town administrator the authority to sign all documents necessary to effectuate the purchase of the property from the village of Swanton, described in the deed as following. Being all the same land, premise, and water rights and privileges conveyed to the grantor by a certain quitclaim deed from H.M. Stone and F.S. Lapel to the village of Swanton dated October 17, 1908, recorded in book 27, page 478 of the land records of the town of Fairfield. Being all the same lands, premises, water, and water rights and privileges described in certain administrator's deed from F.S. Lapel, administrator of Patrick Rooney's estate, to H.M. Stone. These must be people you went to school with. His heirs and assigns dated January 31, 1903, reported in book 25, page 433 of the land records of the town of Fairfield, and including all the same lands, premise, water, and water rights and privileges described in a certain warranty deed of F.S. Lapel, attorney for the Rooney heirs, to Henry M. Stone, dated January 31, 1903, and reported in book 25, page 472 of the land records of the town of Fairfield. The purpose of this claim deed is to convey whatever rights the grantor has at the time of this conveyance to a water line and its lands associated therewith. Reference is further made to the above mentioned instruments, deeds, plans, and records thereof, and references herein contained all in the further aid of this description, so we can buy the land for $1.
The town manager has the authority to accept, purchase the property from the town of Swanton. That's what it says, and that's what
We
Tim's.
get the gist. Town or village?
Yeah,
Swanton.
town or village.
Yeah, town of Swanton.
Town
This
of-
is Swanton, there you go.
So.
I second.
Second that. And all in favor?
Aye.
Guess that one's done.
And that's it for me.
That's
All right,
it.
pass that over here for Joshua.
I'll email it to you. I'll email it.
Melissa, do you have anything?
Don't worry, just, you need to copy and paste.
Linda has been collecting all the things that have been coming to the town office about the 837 LLC.
Mm-hmm.
So they're, just a basic, it's here anytime anyone wants to look at it. So this Donald A.
Hey,
Sepp
hold on,
is representing them.
we're close to executive section stuff, so, on that.
I didn't realize that was, private. It goes before your board, right? It's not a company.
No, it
No,
has
no,
nothing
no,
to do with
no, no.
us. It's all in the environmental court, which is all.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
It's
Move
all,
along
none of it is, it's not secret at all. It's all-
I apologize, I thought you were briefing, I apologize, I thought you were briefing another,
No,
No,
it has,
yes,
it's all in the environmental court, there's nothing
Right, it's all public
executive,
record.
it's all public record.
Yeah.
So what came to us is just the fact that they are now being represented by Daniel Seff of MSK Attorneys.
Okay.
But as was arranged by you, all you're getting is notifications, so we're not participating, so if anyone wants to peruse that, it's here.
Okay. Is there anything else you,
No,
else we got here? That's done. Is there any old business before we, or other business?
there is, I provided an email update on a pending legal matter. It doesn't require any action from the board. It's in good, I think it's in good hands. And unless you want to go into executive session, go
Yeah,
into
please, I'd
details.
like to home.
Okay.
I
No,
I do have one employee issue that I would like to be able to discuss with you. I emailed all of you, it's regarding a very old project.
Okay, so I don't
It's
think there's any other public business. There's like one executive session
One
issue?
quick executive session,
Which there won't be a decision or any of that, is that what you're saying?
no decisions.
Okay, well, someone make a motion to the executive session, but there's, then we can adjourn, right?
Yep. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.